Hello and welcome to the Video Gamer UK podcast. My name is Matt Lees and we are in LA. And I've got Steve Burns in LA.
Hello.
David Scammell
Whoop whoop.
in LA. And Chris Bratt in LA.
And
that was the sound of the police. Sorry.
That is... I've been hearing that all fucking day, actually. I'll be honest. Video production in an LA motel is interesting. Particularly because of police and garbage trucks. And all sorts of other fun things that have really been spaffing on my chips. But you guys have seen loads of awesome stuff today. Steve, you've been at all the conferences, right?
Bar Ubisoft, which Miller was at. But yeah, pretty much in the platform holders, or two of them.
Sony.
Yeah, a very interesting day. It started Microsoft. Really, everyone was really pumped for it. You could tell because there's those unanswered questions about.
Well, they were promising games, and they did.
And they delivered.
Yeah.
In stark contrast to the Sony conference, which is overlong and stuttery and very kind of nervy, I felt, despite the fact they had something amazing to say, which we'll get on to.
But it felt like, this is interesting for me because I've been trying to edit a video all day long and having massive technical problems because of that. I've only seen the Xbox conference. So I've heard dribs and drabs and stuff and other things, but pretty much I don't know. So this is going to be some exciting treats for me. Well, I don't fucking clue what's going on.
Matt, we could tell you anything right now.
We should probably add at this point, actually, if you have started listening to the podcast, this is being recorded at nighttime US side after the first day of conferences. So we'll just be covering stuff that's happened today. By the time you hear this, we may well have also had a kind of Nintendo Direct that's popped up. So we're not going to discuss any of that because it is in the future and it's impossible for us to do so.
Sorry.
So first things first, what should we kick off with? Should we kick off with the Microsoft stuff?
Why not? Yeah. It was up first. Very slick, as I was saying, and they didn't waste any time. They just came out and said, look, here's the games. And so you just had like Rise, which was a Kinect game for 360, which now has become kind of like a Rome set God of War.
I saw someone on Twitter refer to them as Bromans, which I quite like.
Amazing. Whoever that was, you win. And that was kind of heavy on the QTE fighting, almost a bit like kind of like Arkham, and the people will surround you and attack you, and you can get a bit of kind of free flow, but very heavy on the QTE stuff. World of Tanks is coming. That's free to play. Halo, there was a really kind of cool CG trailer. I hate CG trailers, but it was cool. But I think it's one of those things where I hate the whooping. But you get that, it's almost like being a sporting event. You get that kind of like tension and anticipation. And when the cloak he was wearing went back,
when they go, look, we've done a Master Chief.
Yeah. I mean, people absolutely loved it, so it's hard not to get behind it. Stuff like the kind of like PS Plus style rewards for Xbox Live Gold members now.
That's only temporary though, isn't it?
I know,
it's only till the end of the year, which is weird.
But it seems like they're kind of moving towards that. But it was very kind of game heavy, and it was in stark contrast to their reveal of Xbox One.
Well, let's just talk about the games that they've actually shown as well. Like, obviously, they kicked off the presentation with Metal Gear Solid 5, which is really smart because that game looks hot damn giggity.
Who the hell was expecting the Microsoft conference to start off with Metal Gear? That was pretty freaking ace.
Expected nothing, but I was thrilled when it happened because it had horses in it.
And it was
hiding on a horse.
It was so silly.
And he was time traveling, not time traveling, but it's like speed
like
up time.
That trick's not going to work for very often. Often people are just going to be like, that's funny, that horse keeps running up and down on its own. I wonder why.
People keep dying. I mean,
and the dialogue was like so expositional and terrible. It was like the first thing that comes out of Ocelot's mouth to Snake is, well, you've got a pair of binoculars. I imagine you'll be using them quite often. Like, just say, use the binoculars. Yeah. But it looked very cool, open world MGS. It looked amazing.
Looked crazy good, but the actual trailer was just strange, and I loved it because of that.
Yeah, I'm really excited about Metal Gear Solid 5. Spark, I thought was interesting.
Yes.
Just because it's like mega creative. I do worry that it's like, I looked at that and thought, oh, so you don't have Molyneux doing stuff for your line anymore, but you still got the spirit of it.
Yeah.
It just feels a bit like, okay.
It sounds awesome. I'm skeptical.
I wonder how the creation stuff's going to work, because obviously we saw Sony, when they announced the PS4, they were like, hey, look, we've finally worked out what to use the Move controller for. We can do this cool crafting stuff with it. But when I saw people making things and it had this idea of like, oh, you can download the blueprint for this Rockman, I was like, how did I get made? Because you know
Is
what?
it Connect? Did they say it was Connect? They didn't seem to mention Connect at all.
Basically, there were no details there.
There was kind of voice stuff for the. I think it would Connect was more voice, and he was saying
the motions on the
make
screen
it into a
definitely look that way.
Yeah.
one of the
It's got to be Connect.
one of the people sitting in front of us in the theatre apparently worked on the game because I saw him tweet, I can finally speak about Spark, which was funny because about 10 seconds before I did that, one of the Video Gamer crew, who shall remain nameless, and wasn't me, had gone, yeah, I'm not sure about this one. and, I can imagine kind of Curb Your Enthusiasm's theme playing. But they gotta say, it took a
This looks like shit.
Whoever made this
hello.
should stop.
You know what I was most impressed with, though? Even though it looks a little more generic than the previous ones, Dead Rising 3.
That was
I thought it
the
looked
game I was
really nice.
I really wasn't impressed by that. That
Really?
actually would have been a real system buy job for me, but it looked very nice, but it didn't look like Dead Rising.
Yeah,
No,
but
it didn't.
isn't
it didn't. That was the
It
problem.
looked like Mercenaries with zombies.
Oh, yeah, no, I see what you're saying
And
there.
I loved Mercenaries. As crap as the second one was, I thought the first one was actually...
It seemed like they
quite good.
stripped out, though, as you're saying, the kind of the silliness.
Well,
Not
the thing is-
stupidness, because it's quite sophisticated, Dead Rising, but the silliness.
Well, that's the thing. Like gritty, realistic, scary zombie
Brown.
games. There are a lot of them.
I agree.
Lots of
And there are
brown.
awesome ones. But what I love about Dead Rising, and I was watching just some videos of Dead Rising today, just
Lots of
watching
brown.
almost the fact. No, it's not just that. It's about obviously the colour's an important thing, but it's not just about palettes. It's like the fact that Dead Rising was perfect because it was set in a shopping mall, which meant you always had this bossa nova groove. And it always had this really kind of massively tongue-in-cheek, daft edge to it.
Yeah.
And just everything about it just made me think, the fact that their kind of money shot of that demo was, hey, look, we called an artillery. I was like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Like, I can call an artillery in every game. And I felt the same thing, actually, in many ways.
Even
About
FIFA.
I felt really conflicted. Yeah, I play FIFA, if you could do that, to be fair. But I felt really conflicted about the kind of final big reveal of the Xbox announcement, which was
Titanfall.
or Titanville, as I'm saying.
I'm not sure how I feel about it.
I'm not sure either.
It's
It's kind of like I see the fast movement, like the jetpack and the climbing and the jumping and wall running, and I think, okay, because it's kind of a callback to the kind of Quake 3, Halo, jumpy, fast-paced shooting.
and also the fact that the mechs themselves are fast as well. That kind
Yes.
of goes into in that as well.
Yes, and it had some really nice touches. Like I love the way that the mech's melee finisher was kind of a nice play on the whole ripping a heart out of, in the fact that you basically look like you're ripping the heart out of the robot, but you pull the guy out and then throw them. Really nice touches like that, but the fact that the VO was just like, hold the position, move.
Yeah.
And I just thought, God, this is boring. Like, it just felt like, the problem was, it felt like Respawn had basically been...
They've escaped Call of Duty to make...
Well, I mean, they didn't really escape Call of Duty. They signed a new contract with EA, and I think EA just went, can you make us like the closest possible thing to Call of Duty without it being Call of Duty?
Just put it in space or something.
And they went, can we make it sci-fi? And they went, yeah. And they just went, all right, deal. Even the way the soldiers ran, it just felt...
And they kind of kill streaks, things that were popping out. Like Rampage came up a few times when he killed it's very much like
It just felt really familiar, and at a point at which that familiarity of Call of Duty is starting to give it a really kind of trudgy, treacly kind of lack
like
of...
contempt, essentially, I think.
Yeah, well, just apathy, really.
Yeah.
I just sort of thought... I was conflicted, because part of me thought, exciting, you should be excited by this, Matt. And the other part of my brain was just going... I don't know why I'm not.
Exactly
Though.
the same.
Yeah, I'm not huge on it because Titanfall's reveal was so spoiled, but it was kind of leaked by Game Informer. So I think that kind of took the edge off a little bit because it would have been like this is the first kind of real look at it. So there was that, but
Did we hear that was going to be an exclusive or not? Because
It is exclusive.
Yeah, no, I know. I meant beforehand.
It's Xbox and PC.
Yeah, that's the
Which
thing,
is
isn't
like,
it? Yeah, they.
all right,
It's odd, isn't it?
if I play it, which I'm not sure I would. I mean, it looks good, but it's just like I look at it and think, is that sort of game that when it's out on the shelf, I buy it? I'm sort of like, I don't know, maybe it's got a good campaign, maybe.
Well, it's multiplayer only, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
It's
well,
like-
probably
well,
not then because
yeah.
I've got
It's like
Planet Side.
Wars.
Well, I've got Planet
Yes,
Side
that's
2.
what we were saying in the place. But I think it's
Yeah.
like persistence is the thing, the big thing.
Yeah.
Like there's everything that's
There's a few really cool.
yeah,
examples.
and Destiny.
It
of
sort of
course,
impressed
and
me a
all
little
that sort
bit,
of
but at the
thing.
same time, it's like I've got Planet Side 2 on my PC, and that impresses me for similar reasons. and I've not really played it
Yeah.
because I don't really play that sort of thing anymore.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a kind of great story to be told about Titanfall and Destiny, kind of given the history of the developers and publishers
Yeah,
and how
of
that
course.
all came about, and because they do seem quite similar in a lot of ways in terms of persistence and their worlds. But I think they might end up being too similar to one another in a lot of ways. So it'll be very interesting to see which one players really kind of go for.
Just felt very safe. And I tell you what, actually, one of the games that excited me the most, I did really like Lucas Spark, I must admit, but the game that excited me the most was, what's it called? Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah.
Sunset Overdrive is just like, fuck yeah. I love that.
It's a very kind of gamey game, and it's not got that dreary kind of hold position as or Oscar Mike and all that. It's just you kind of run around, do parkour, and I wasn't really that taken with it, but I very much appreciated what it did.
I just think the fact that they clearly just gone because Fuse was originally going to have that art style.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was
I
with
think-
Overstrike, which was,
I think they made not a mistake, but I think they made a call where they just sort of went, let's save this for next gen. Because even the way that the weapons they were using were orange as well. It had the same colour scheme. It's very clearly like a kind of, they've saved all the best ideas. Even stuff like when he fired the headshot, it came up saying headshot in gloop, and when he fired the rocket launcher, it came up with a big cloud that said boom. And it's just like, it reminded me of the Dreamcast, basically. It reminded me of Jet Set Radio.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
And
Good call.
it was just so cool. And I just think Fuse was a bit naff because it wasn't Insomniac being Insomniac. Insomniac are all about awesome gunplay and really tongue-in-cheek madness.
Yeah, exactly. I think Fuse might have had bits and pieces of the awesome game, the gunplay, but didn't have any of that kind of style.
It's odd though, isn't it, when you think like Insomniac for many years was a Sony only developer, PlayStation only, like Resistance and Ratchet and Clank. Now Xbox only, isn't it? So it's very odd, but
It is weird, yeah. But I mean, what else was shown today?
Microsoft.
Yeah.
Oh, not exclusives. I was going to say the game that most excited me from Microsoft's conference was The Witcher 3. We saw a very small portion of it, but oh my god, does that game look beautiful?
It looks hot. Like, everything about it, the animation, they're just putting everyone else in the world to shame. Like, at CD Projekt Red, I've just got so much time for those guys, especially the fact that obviously they're a Polish studio and they sent their kind of American producer,
He didn't
do it.
He didn't quite into it as
He was. I think he was sort of, I like the way that he did start off by saying, you guys rock, to the guys back in Poland. So I think there's a good relationship there. But I love the fact that they always do this, but they hid a secret message in the trailer again, which was just a slide being like, hey guys, we can't come in there. But like, they've just clearly got so much love for their fans, but they do it in the right way. They don't do the whole kind of, hey, we just want to make a game for the fans, so we'll change anything to make you happy, in a way some developers do. They still like do it themselves and make good games without like peer pressure.
That being said, one of the changes people are concerned about with the Witcher series is that this one's going to be open world, and people thought, oh, it's going to be a little bit empty, a little bit quiet. It doesn't look like it. Do you see the towns in that they showed off?
Yeah. Oh man, I'm excited about that. I need to go back and play the Witcher 2.
And it just that just a tiny little trailer just blew my mind.
But I guess the problem with the Xbox thing is that obviously for a couple of weeks now, or however long it's been, there's been a massive elephant in the mansion, in every floor and room of the mansion, about the whole DRM situation. And
No, I really like how they addressed that. I thought they tackled it really well. They didn't say anything.
But Sony did all the talking for them.
Oh yeah,
when Jack Tratton came back out. And this Sony conference, it went on for what seemed like days. Like by the end of it, I'm a pretty tall guy, right? And we were in this
You're
place.
just going to say you were shrinking?
My legs, I had what was bordering on cramp in my legs. I was like, oh, just come on. But he came out after they messed around with bloody Final Fantasy and all of that, and he just essentially just went, yeah, you doesn't have to check in. You can share your games like the video with the Yoshida saying, here's how we share games. Just gives a copy.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I think it spoke volumes. And again,
you could see that they were enjoying it as well, because he said the pretty much no DRM thing 3 times slightly differently, and he was just grinning more and more each time.
Yeah, but the crowd was going crazy on YouTube, isn't it? I was
People went mental. I'm really looking forward to watching it. Obviously, I'm going to after I flipping sorted out this Xbox version of the video, which hopefully by the time you listen to this, you've already seen. I'm going to get onto the PlayStation 1 next, but I'm excited because I haven't seen it, so I'm looking forward to actually just watching it and being like, because I've heard it's really impressive. I heard it's like a massive, slow trudge, and then at the end, people just go mental. But I'm amazed by this. I am honestly amazed because I have been so fucking wrong for the past like 4 months. We've talked about this in the podcast loads, and those of you who've been following the podcast will know that I've just been like, well, you know, I'm not excited by next gen because it's just going to be the same. And a lot of industry people have been saying that. We felt like it was just going to be like the choice of console you went for would be like, do you want a Coke or a Pepsi? It would be like the same thing with different branding, pretty much. But I'm completely wrong. Like, it's amazing how different the methodology and the approach of these two consoles is going to be.
Well, coming out of both of them, there was it felt like Microsoft were going for TV, like, as a kind of, and you can use it essentially as an overlay for your, whatever you have, your set-top box. So you can do all that. Whereas Sony's approach seems to be a bit more about kind of Netflix style original programming delivered via their box rather than going, hey, what else is on the telly? You know, we can do telly stuff. And, they had one of their big boys whose name I completely forget, but their movie guy, essentially, he just came out and said, look, there's going to be loads of stuff that we just do through PlayStation. And they seem to know which way the wind's blowing on that. And you just see, so that, like House of Cards, for example, that wasn't on TV, that was on
Netflix exclusive.
Yeah, and then so Arrested Development season 4. So,
but you think they'll go in that direction? It was strange because just talking about TV, like it did feel a little bit awkward just bringing that up now because of the reaction to the Microsoft one.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's about that really. I think it's more. I know what you mean, but I don't think Sony are even going down that route of funding and sponsoring their own like, original content so much in that way. It just feels more like they've just realised that and I'm so happy to see it. And actually that video of them saying, here's how you share games on PlayStation 4, and a guy just passing a game to somebody going, here you are.
Thanks.
And thanks. That is incredible because honestly...
That's a video we would have made.
Yeah, well that's it. It's a short, sharp, funny spoof thing. And it's almost like Sony and Microsoft couldn't be in more different positions than Sony have just gone, you know what, we're fucked. And unless we literally just stop behaving like we have done and entirely take the stabilizer off and start acting mental, we are like dead. And they have done. And they've just gone mad. And it's amazing because it's not like they're going out of their way to create special content. It's more the fact that Microsoft are going, well, we're in a strong position here now. So we're really going to ramp up the controls. Yeah. We're going to we've got the empire and now we're going to control it even more tightly. Same thing that Sony did with the PS3. The difference is that when they did it with the PS3, Sony did it with hardware, whereas with the Xbox One, it's infrastructure. Yeah. It's online systems. Whereas Sony have just gone, you know what? Fuck it. We're dead otherwise. Yeah. You can self-publish. You can do what you want with your games. It's cheaper than the Xbox. I'm just astounded. Because honestly, it's not that Sony really, because the Xbox showing this morning was pretty good.
It's very good, I thought.
It's just the way that then after that, because they've left so many like elephants in the room, Sony's just walked in and shot all their elephants with a fucking gun.
I don't think. I think in terms of games, they were quite on par in the two conferences. It's just in every other regard, Microsoft have handed it to them. It's not even that Sony did something so mind-blowingly awesome that it's like, oh, this is the future of consoles. Microsoft just went too far.
They've given them penalties and the keeper's gone off for a lunch or something, you know.
They've made it incredibly easy, but like you said, it's impressive that Sony did react.
I think the one problem Sony has compared to Microsoft is the third-party support. Obviously, Microsoft has big AAA third-party exclusives, and I guess part of that could be to do with the whole revenue streams from the pre-owned stuff.
This is the problem.
Maybe with the deal, I don't know.
Because it's really good for us, this whole, like, you can do what you want with your games, but the fact that Microsoft have been trying to pass the buck about it all, because their answer to this whole thing is, well, it's going to be optional for publishers, which is basically saying, look, we only put it in because publishers really, really wanted it, and so we've done it for them. Well, but I do wonder how that will affect games in the future.
There was an interview with Matrick on the BBC earlier today, and he basically said, well, retail's happy with it. But that's the message. Like, our partners like it, but the consumers don't. But that doesn't affect our business. Essentially, that seems to be the message that's coming across.
Yeah. But it's almost like it's interesting with the Sony stuff because they are saying, hey, indies, you can self-publish on our platform. It kind of means that they might not need... I mean, they're not going to get the same slice of the pie if Microsoft do go after the big exclusives. But it means they'll be more comfortably, because those indies don't give a fuck about that stuff. They just want to get their games out there and sell enough copies to make another game, because they're like these tight little companies. It's like, they don't need to make millions of quid, they just need to make 20,000, then they can keep coding for another 6 months or a year or something, you know.
Once again, indies have become so profitable in the last few years. Letting them self-publish isn't like genius. It's just a solid idea. Why doesn't everyone do that? Like, I can't believe.
Yeah, it's not even that indies have become like, they have become profitable, but it's not like profit is the main thing. It's the fact that indies have become sustainable. I think that's the important thing. Is it's now
they don't need the backing.
In the past, it's like if you're an indie dev, you work your arse off on a game, and then you have to try and get it published, and then you end up having to change the game to get it published. And now it's just like we've got the streams enough that you can just be like, I've got a cool idea. Do you want to have a go on it for £3? And like there'll be 1 million people who might go, yeah, all right.
There was a fantastic moment in the PlayStation conference that you'll get to see tomorrow, where they're talking about letting indies self-publish to show like a little montage of some of the indie games they're talking about, and then it just goes boosh, and they had a really like wide curved screen around the hall, and there was just like 10, 15, I don't know, developers standing in front of their games, and it was just this awesome moment. It's like indie developers, bam, there you go, have that,
like an illusion. So
yeah, it was.
Pow! Indies
to Microsoft.
I think the big takeaway for me was, or things to take away was, not like a big curry, but the big was
biggest takeaway. I had a breakfast burrito. That was a whopping takeaway. I needed it.
Was the price, and it's like history repeating itself. In the 90s, Sega came up with Saturn and said it costs $399. I believe, and then apparently at Sony's conference, because they were the new guys, they just stood up and whoever was speaking for them just said $299, and the crowd went crazy because it's $100. That's a lot of cash.
A lot of money, yeah.
And I think that
last gen as well, didn't it? Really,
yeah. I just couldn't believe it.
The difference is though, is last gen they were like, Sony were going, yeah, but you're getting a higher quality machine.
Yeah.
Actually, you were. The fact that we never actually saw the benefits of that higher quality machine was a different story. But you were getting a better machine, like first Xbox 360. They were a piece of fucking junk. They all melted.
Literally melted.
Yeah, literally melted. But this time it's like you kind of go, well, yeah, actually the hardware of the 360, not the Xbox One, sorry, I get used to that, is better, I think. I get the impression it's going to be a solid bit of gear because they're not going to make the same mistake as last time. It will be out of the box, good, nice, lasts.
Apparently it's massive as well.
But then you've got the problem of all these other things. And actually, up until quite recently, I would have gone, you know what? It doesn't matter what Sony do. And Sony could have done all this stuff today. And I still think the Xbox would have come out on top. And actually, I'm still worried that the Xbox will come out on top just because they have such a better brand name now. That I think a lot of people just won't give a fuck. But having said that, the fact that in the past week, we've seen that on the BBC and stuff, people talking about on the new Xbox, you won't be able to play pre-owned games. I think that if Sony play this right, it could just be as simple as from now until launch, the messaging that really gets out to people is you can't play pre-owned games on the Xbox and the PS4 is cheaper.
Yeah.
And it could just
quite a lot cheaper as well when you really consider it.
We've talked about this before, but there is this weird thing that, like, our opinion and the people that listen to this podcast, we feel so strongly about, DRM or anything, but the mainstream audience, not mainstream, but the wider audience.
Yeah, they're the guys that matter.
Are they caring? And, like, they're the ones who are going to really tip the scales. It will be interesting to see how much of this kind of negativity towards Microsoft and huge, like, love tonight.
I think they want exclusives, and what is available day one is going to matter as well. I mean, a lot of these games, it's hard to get a real feel for it. Like with Dead Rising 3, I wasn't impressed by the demo, but I reckon actually when more details come out, it'll probably be like, oh, actually, it's going to be great.
But then a lot of them aren't launched, are there? A lot of them are Q1 2014.
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of 2014.
I don't think, did they announce a single launch title at Microsoft? I can't think of one. Dead Rising is holiday.
Yeah, there was nothing kind of...
There's nothing...
From what I can recall right now.
I can't remember any exclusives. You've got all the third-party Watch Dogs, Battlefield, Call of Duty, all that, but I can't think of a single first-party. Forza might be the only first-party.
Battlefield 4 looked lovely.
The multiplayer stuff, completely canned. I refuse to believe that you guys watched, right? It's like you've got 64 players.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm the squad leader.
Yeah.
Somehow he never dies. There's a bit where he gets into an elevator and he's holding an Xbox pad and it says press E to get in there. Okay. And then, but it's...
Yeah, because they were using... console pads,
yeah.
but there was.
But then at the end,
yeah.
it jumps out and the thing collapses, and I just thought, "Fuck! What a great way to demo."
Yeah, I
in
said
Call of
that.
Duty, they don't kind of demo their multiplayer like that. It's always some trudge through a single player level. Whereas this was like, this is how it'll play. You know, maybe if you can get a good squad
Get a good
together.
game.
Yeah,
But Duty's in trouble though, right?
60
frames, 64 players.
Halo's got
Oh
60
yeah,
as well.
I
Dynamic.
mean that's the sort of thing that I've always found incredibly tedious. But when they said 6 frames a second, I was like, oh shit, that's actually really big news because for years Call of Duty has just been going, but it's not 6 frames a second, is it though? That's
exactly.
like the only fucking bow in there.
That's Activision's marketing, isn't it? With
Yeah,
60
with
frames.
60 frames.
Like,
What? You're what?
whenever I spoke to Robert Bowling, all I heard from him was 60 frames. 60.
Can we bump it up to 80 frames? Can we do 80 frames, guys?
So, but it's Call of Duty, it'll sell regardless.
and Mirror's
but-
Edge 2.
No, but
Mirror's Edge 2.
the thing is, you say it'll sell regardless, but I've always been amazed over the past couple of years at just how much catching up Battlefield has done. Because
yeah.
I've always felt it's quite a niche experience. It's quite hardcore, and yet they sold shitloads of copies of Battlefield
Yeah.
3. So I think that maybe this could be the year that it gets to the point where you look at the numbers and you think, oh god, they're actually going to
I do
50-50
I worry they're going to do the Activision thing of annualising it though, and it will just.
I don't
have
think they
that
will.
same-
I think
You don't
DICE are in too powerful a
Yeah,
position
and they've
within
got,
EA. I
they've
think
got Battlefront as
Oh,
well
they're
to
the
go
boys
on.
now.
Maybe they'll
They're the
alternate.
boys.
Yeah, I think they will.
DICE are like EA now. In my mind,
Yeah.
like they are on par with being in a position where they can do what the fuck they want. Hence, Mirror's Edge 2.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not surprised by Mirror's Edge 2 actually, just because I've been thinking for a
Yeah.
while that those guys are in such a hot position that they can just go, take your trousers off, and EA would go,
What?
do I have to? You go, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want Battlefront?
Take it off. Take it all off. Battlefront, though? God, I didn't know about that.
What
Yeah.
a great,
I mean,
a
it was
great
obviously gonna
tease.
happen.
Yeah, it was tiny little
Wonderful.
tease.
But it was so good because at first I was like, when we were watching it, at first I was like, oh shit, they're actually going to announce Dead Space 4. And it's going to cut to me and Miller going, oh. But suddenly he's just
Yes,
kind of laser
lasers coming
fired. I
across.
just turned to him
At
and
the
went,
same moment.
it's Star Wars! And then you see the kind of the attack or whatever.
So EA with
comes
Star
down.
Wars. Anything else new that got announced at EA? Oh, Dragon Age 3 is that looking hot?
It's not called Dragon Age 3.
Inquisition.
They dropped the free off it.
Just Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The trailer looks nothing like the Dragon Age games so far, except Morrigan at the end, which just like I was a little bit iffy with the initial part.
Is it still FMV?
I think it was FMV, yeah. Yeah.
But Morrigan is the best character from Dragon Age, and I'm excited to see, especially if you know this
you can
story.
fuck. Sorry, spoiler, but it's true.
Spoiler alert.
No, she's not. She's
Her
not.
mum's a dragon.
Her mum's a dragon.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
Classic.
right.
It's the second spoiler,
Yeah.
but at least the first one's not a spoiler. She's just a woman you can fuck.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's nothing wrong with that.
But there's
I've had a lot of energy
Rewind.
drinks.
Everyone's quite tired, I feel.
I've had a lot of energy drinks.
Sitting there
today.
falling asleep, not gonna lie.
All right, we'll keep this one a bit nippy anyway, just because we'll try and do these more of these throughout the week. But yeah, so Ubisoft, did they show anything worthwhile?
Yes.
Yeah.
They had a Watch Dogs moment.
yeah, well, they
moment,
did. They pretty much.
But
did,
not with Watch Dogs.
Yeah, they did the exact same. Like humanity is absolutely boned. Let this game show you why.
Well,
And
like
then-
when I was saying that in the pub yesterday.
yeah, yes. In fact, God, we had a bit of a
Yeah, cool.
Watch
you
Dogs
mean?
moment, didn't we?
Yeah, Watch Dogs moment. Yeah.
So it's a new Tom Clancy game, The Division.
But they
And
marked it
it's,
like Watch Dogs.
Yeah, they did. I get the impression it's like a persistent online world.
Yeah.
I think everyone is going to be doing these next gen.
I
It
think
seems to be this kind of
Division
territory,
Seems like that's the thing.
territory capture in this apocalyptic world, and everyone has to fight
Yeah,
for their own little
yeah, and
regions.
there's almost a little
Sounds
bit
like
of
nightmare.
There was a little bit of DayZ to it in the fact that like these survivors are teaming up, and then they met another group of survivors.
Build your
and
crew, and it was
kinda
like
cool.
DayZ meets The Last of Us. It was that kind of vibe.
Gosh.
And, and
Yeah, looks very impressive.
it did look
I did-
very nice.
was-
No Beyond Good and Evil 2 though, I hear.
No.
Unless it's going to be a Wii U exclusive tomorrow morning.
Oh shit!
You reckon?
I don't know.
Never even thought
Maybe.
about that.
I'm literally just pulling ideas out my arse.
I don't think there'll be any third party.
At this point in the day,
exclusives and-
Viva Pinata 3 didn't happen. I don't care about anything anymore.
Yeah, no.
This world can fuck off and burn.
It's not, Rare isn't even doing Killer Instinct, are they?
No,
Apparently.
I don't
No.
think so.
They didn't really
Isn't
convey
it-
that very well in the
Who was
conference.
it?
Did
Who's
they?
doing it?
A really shit dev.
Yeah.
I think
remember
they're
the game
literally
they
they've just gone, you know what, fuck it, just use the
The
name.
guys who
Guys
made
did Battleship.
Green
I played
Lantern.
that recently. Turd.
Yeah.
Although they made the Green Lantern game, and I played the Green Lantern game, and it wasn't that bad. I reviewed it for XM, I gave it a 6, because actually it was a bit shit, but it was quite fun. The combat was quite fun, so maybe they won't entirely dick it up.
Yeah.
But to be honest though, Killer Instinct is one of those games where it's like, yeah, actually, let's just rewind a bit. And if you distill those childhood memories and fondness, you'll realise that actually, You just like the character design.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually.
And the combos, it's a very kind of, it's a very kind of 90s, I'm smacking the fuck out of people. Wow, and my guy looks really cool. He's got a sword, he's a ninja. And all the American press in that, I presume it was the American press, they went mad for Killer Instinct. And so, Miller and I just looking at each
A lot
other
of
like,
shit's changed since then.
It just strikes me as an NBA Jam type thing, where everyone loves that sort of thing. It'll
Since
come out
then-
and it'll bomb.
Well, since then we've had Soul Calibur 2. Jog on. Well, we don't talk about Killer Instinct anymore.
Yeah.
You had Kilgore in it. Was it Full Gore? Whatever his name was. He was cool, but it wasn't a good game.
Where's Conker? I want
Where's Conker? Conker's
Bloody
bad
hell.
fucking... Well, actually, hang on. Did they show Connect Sports 2?
It's called
Connect Sports Rivals.
which
They
is-
didn't show
yeah,
it during
That's
the conference.
interesting, because they just
might be-
basically... It's almost like Microsoft was scared of
I
doing
think that
anything
was
like
a Spike thing, maybe, or some of the...
It was Rare's big game. I thought Spencer was teasing a big Rare game,
Yeah,
and it didn't come.
never saw it.
Fuck knows.
Big historic Rare game.
Other big stuff for the Sony thing as well. There was wasn't there someone said Kingdom Hearts 3?
Yes,
That's a bloody
and
big deal.
Final Fantasy Versus 13 is a thing, but it's now called Final Fantasy 15.
That's a cheap way of making a new
Yes.
game, isn't it?
Yes, pretty much.
But I was quite impressed with
Square Enix said.
with the Final Fantasy 15 as it stands now. I'm not a huge Final Fantasy guy, but the way it looks, the kind of design of the world, really, really quite cool.
Was it in engine they showed?
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
it all
So
CGI?
wasn't it?
That wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Not all of it was CGI. It had that kind of classic Square CGI where you could tell.
Yeah. Initially,
But yeah,
introduction of the characters.
but on the stream you would have seen it if you watched it. But I just pissed myself laughing when it came to the director of Final Fantasy 13 verse 13 as it was, and he was like, "Right, now we're going to talk about Final Fantasy versus 13. Actually, we're not." And I was like, he's actually just dropped in and trolled the fuck out of everyone. And they showed this whole
That's it,
trailer.
It walked See you at Gamescom.
It
or
was so
something,
good.
yeah.
I thought they'd just do it again. Like,
See you later, guys. Lol. Yeah, no, that would be brilliant. And Kingdom Hearts 3, though, I'm so hot for Mickey and Donald, frankly. Whoa.
It's weird that there's a huge divide. There's people that are just like Kingdom Hearts.
Well, I love
what's
the
that?
first
and
one.
people that go absolutely crazy.
They kind of drilled the whole thing into the ground over the past 10 years by just making 1,800 different versions of it for the Game Boy Advance. But
with very silly names as well.
Birth by Sleep.
Yeah, oh god, that was trash. I played that because loads of people reviewed it, and I realised it was one of those classic cases of the people who review these games are the only people who like them. So you always continue getting this circle. The same thing happens with Dynasty Warriors. And Animal Crossing, and lots of games like this. Like the only people who actually fucking want to review them are people who love them. But I mean, it was fun. The combat was good. But Jesus Christ, the story. It took a dive into emo, and it was already weird enough that you had Final Fantasy being mixed with Disney.
Yeah.
But then when you put this massive emo streak into the middle of it, it's just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, you feel like you've wandered into the weirdest 15-year-old bedroom ever. Like, it's just...
That's why there is such a huge divide. Imagine if you didn't know anything about that game and you just picked it up in a shop. You'd be like, what the hell is this?
What the fuck is this?
What's going on?
I felt weird just playing the first one. I'm like, I'm not supposed to be doing this. I was probably about 17 or 18.
Your mum walks in. Oh, it's not what it looks like.
It's porn. I'm just watching porn. Leave me alone. Oh, anal. Lovely. I'm not doing... No, nothing to do with Disney.
Disney.
Oh, that's disgusting. But no, I'm more openly up for a bit of Kingdom Hearts 3 now. Was there any other big day one excitements we haven't mentioned?
There was another Ubisoft game. It was The Crew, which is by two development teams. It's Ivory Tower.
Everybody's gone meh. As far as I can tell.
Yeah, it looks like a cross between Need for Speed Most Wanted, that kind of open world thing, and a Motorstorm, because it has a mix of rural and urban stuff.
How competitive that market is right now.
Yeah,
it's a tough one to bring.
I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be an alright game, but there's so many games
There's
like
a
that
fuck
now.
ton of games with cars in
And
it.
again, it's that persistent online thing that everyone's doing.
I tell you what, Matt, they didn't introduce it with a car. They didn't have a car on stage.
But I heard the Drive Club guy was at the Sony thing, right?
Was he?
I think so.
Oh yeah, of course
the
he was.
Drive Club guy.
Yeah,
so I'll be having fun with that tomorrow, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Anyway, we'll draw this one to a close. It's obviously a bit of shorter than the usual, but we're all massively sleep deprived and slightly manic.
Steve's fallen asleep twice during this podcast.
Yeah, we had to wake him up with bath salts.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what bath salts were, but it seems to be working a treat.
I'm going to bed.
Yeah, I'm going to go to bed as well. So until next time, this is Video Game UK from the E3. Keep an eye on the website. We've got all the latest news on there. And also, if you keep an eye on the YouTube, then at some point, if YouTube gets its act together, we may well have videos. Imagine that. man.
Goodness.
Videos.
Moving
That's
pictures.
good, won't it?
And there'll be videos on the main site as well. And all that jazz. But yeah, just keep checking back and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.